This is good. You're going to love this. Ready? This is called a kakusu.
Ooh.
Okay? It's a Japanese power supply. This right here is probably one of the secret weapons of this rig, and it's a very expensive secret weapon because what this does is it's a power supply that allows me, this whole rig's on 240.
Okay.
Okay. This allows me to down in exact voltages, and it will sustain that. So I've got it at 236 right now. Optimal voltage for Marshalls has always been 234. Mike Hill, who's responsible for basically the JCM 800, told me straight up 234. 234 was a little spongy for what we had going on, so we went to 236, and it's just spot on. And also, this allows us to stay at 60 hertz, 60 cycles, whether we're in Europe or whether we're here. So once we get everything biased and tweaked in, we do not want to have to change it because we're in a different. It's so consistent. Okay. So I know that these amps are going to sound as close. You know, there's elements as far as outdoors and rainy, sunny. There's those elements, but as far as power-wise, it's a no-brainer. There is a parametric in here. What this is for is when we do really small places. There's a.
When does acdc do small places?
Rehearsals. Let me say that. Okay, sorry.
I feel like this basketball arena
this is kind of small. 20,000 small. There's like a resonant frequency in his guitar and the rig when there's a wall in front of it. Every time he hits the kick drum, even if he's not playing, it starts feeding back. So we just notch out a little 240, 120 the lower overtone, and it's gone. Takes it right away. So that's not used. That's not in the loop right now. That's only for rehearsals and stuff. Perfect. Okay, now we can go to the rack. Okay. Sure, Accient, best wireless by far. I don't know if you're familiar with these.
No, I'm not.
Okay, the Accient actually, it stores frequencies, and it will tell us, hey, there's an issue, we should change channels. And you can program it to where it'll change automatically. It'll change his pack out there and change at the receiver, or you can do it manually. We, of course, I think it's set to just let it change. This is all run into the monitor world, where our monitor engineer, John, actually allows it to pick frequencies. I think it stores like 8 frequencies. So I mean, and I don't know if it's ever changed frequencies ever. I mean, it's pretty rock solid, this thing. And it sounds amazing. I think he could go to another city and it would still be working. So we love that. These are spare batteries for days. Okay, so here's the signal flow. It goes wireless, 4 channels, into this box that I had built by Mike Hill. Okay, the Mike Hill box is 4 in, okay? And it's 4 right there, 1, 2, 3, 4. This allows me to either have all the packs on or only one of them. So I have all of them on at all times. So no matter what, Angus can go, I want that guitar. Here you go, it's ready to go, ready to go. It's right here is there's a 70-foot cable that sits around the corner just in case all else fails, which it never has, thankfully.
But you're ready.
And we're ready. And it has its own little trim pot, so if we need to, we match the levels. So that's good. From there, this is the backup to it. Everything's pretty much has its own backup. From this guy, it comes to a 1 out. It's 4 in, 1 out. The 1 out actually goes into, yes, the Schaefer replica.
Everyone's been asking.
Of course. This is the first tour he's ever used them. So it's not like he's been using them hidden for 40 years.
Yeah.
It's in a, I don't know what you want to know about these things, but I can tell you what it does for me and for Angus is it's not his definitive tone. Let me just say that.
And then I guess real quick to give a history of the people that aren't familiar, he used those in conjunction with his wireless unit to supposedly get the boost signal.
Ken Schaefer, when he built the original wirelesses that most rock guitar players used back in the 70s, put a preamp in the box because of the signal loss from the wireless.
Yeah.
There's a rumor that Angus was recording Back in Black and wasn't happy with his guitar tone, and Mutt Lange had asked him, well, what's different? And Angus has said, well, the only thing different in the chain is I'm not on my wireless. And they said, well, use your wireless. So rumor has it that he used I've never asked him about it.
Yeah.
Maybe I will today. But he used the wireless to record. So at that point, it really was part of his thing. He's obviously had his sound for 30 years, 25, 20 years without these things. What this allows us to do is it allows us to really kind of tighten it all together. Because you'll see I've got 9 different amps going everywhere. It allows it to really come together and really just sing. And we're able to dial in just enough, he calls it the fizz box, just enough fizz in there to give him that sustain that he likes. I mean, it's really cool. I mean, it's a really good idea.
So he prefers the towers versus, because now they do have a pedal unit too now, a stomp box.
Yeah, and we've never even tried the stomp box. We've just always, Phil had brought one of these over to Angus when they're in the studio doing the last record. And that's where it all started. And then I have two of those. One's a backup. This is a backup to that one. From there, so we've got wireless 4, 1 into this, okay? It goes into a hush pedal, the Rocktron, because when you're dealing with old 70s amps, you got a lot of noise. And
cranky.
These are cranking, as you'll see in a second. Okay, so then from the hush, which is barely on, by the way, it's very, because if there's too much, he feels it and he wants to turn back. So it's just taking the edge off, like rolling off. It's almost like a noise gate than anything else. These things are a lot more subtle than some of those. Some of those just really squash. This is a little more rolling off the edges, I like to say. So from the Rocktron, it goes into the JD7. From the JD7, it goes to amps galore. Goes into every head has its own channel, so I can turn them on and off. I can check phase. I can, because as I'll tell you in a second, as we go across, we are changing these heads all the time. We go through a lot of amps.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. We in rehearsals, we had, I think it was 62 heads just to go through what we need. I have probably 10, 12 backups.
Wow.
And we have a full-time amp guy on the road that his job is to put them all back together every day.
Where's he at? Like in some bunker?
I'll show you. He's in a room. We'll take you to meet Simon. He's in a bunker. He's in there. He's like just amps everywhere and parts, and he's in there soldering away. Yeah, and it's a full-time job because what we do is, well, I'll tell you about the amps first, and then we'll get to the specifics. But I thought this was going to be a quick one, but I guess it's going to be a little more in depth than I thought. So let's get to the heads. I've read so many articles of Angus's tone, and it's pretty interesting how people think that we've arrived, where we're at now. But these are all 100 watt heads. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 9 heads. Okay, this is the arena setup. This is not the stadium setup.
This is the club setup.
This is the club. Yeah, this is the practice rig. and what we do, we use 100 watt heads. They're all 100 watt. They're all super leads, and we have, like I said, I have like 12 backup heads, so they come in and out. And I think I have 2 or 3 super basses, which should probably freak people out that we're actually using super basses.
Yeah.
But these are all super leads. I think 5 years ago, which would be last tour, maybe 2 tours ago. I wasn't here, so I can't quote us. They added a master volume.
Why is that?
I think they were looking for a little more gain with the ability to turn it down. So now we've got a preamp and a master. So it's, it's a little more JCM-ish, right?
Yep.
Okay, that works out really, really well.
Is there a year specific or a year time frame that he wants to get these in terms of the heads themselves?
It's all about the sound. If you open up every one of these heads, they're all completely different. Some have had a lot of things done to them. Some have never been touched. Some are like museum pieces. Some look like, you're surprised they're still working. But overall, we have a lot of the reissues, which is, I think they were 1987.
Okay.
And what the 87 allows us to do is we can do more things to them, and we're not hacking up the museum piece we're talking about. We have, he has heads that are just for the studio. That are like the pristine, the plexis, this, and they're just like, we don't even touch those. We have heads that are just for this specific purpose. But what we do is the secret, so nice little flame action going on. That's not my amps, I hope. Not yet, anyways.
Well, we gotta go take them to the amp guy.
That's right. We'll show the amp guy. What we do is, one of the secrets with his rig is when we bias the amps, we don't do mathematical calculations. We go ahead and we just do actual playing while he's biasing it. And so what we do is we get to a certain point and then we push the envelope.
Just a little bit more.
We just make sure that, we got an amp guy. So we blow up a bunch of tubes. It's so his sound. I mean, his sound has always been on the edge, and it's always that. I mean, it's the greatest rock and roll tone ever. So to achieve that, we got to push the boundaries, and sometimes we push them pretty far. And I did blow up 3 heads in one show. That's the most I've blown up.
What show was that?
I don't remember. I like to forget those things. It was in Europe somewhere. I know that. So we're pretty good now. Once we get indoors and everything kind of stabilizes, we can kind of get these things tweaked in, and they last probably 3-4 shows in the tubes, and we just keep replacing tubes, and we just check them. And
are there any specific tubes that you guys are going for?
We use JJs right now.
Okay. Imagine 34s.
Yeah, they're all EL34. Sorry, and you might want to take a look at the settings, because that's what'll freak people out the most, is the settings, because you would never imagine this is the settings. This is kind of general. They move a little bit depending on the amp, but
yeah, they're all kind of the same ballpark. I know that obviously is a little generally different. But
we have the presence is on 1, bass is on 3, middle's on 3, treble's on 3. This is our volumes on 6, and 8's the preamp. So you just get that little preamp gain. So it's a lot different than when I watch people saying how the tone is. They're all over the place. This is what it is. This is as you see, they're
all about the same.
They're all about the same, and. What we do when we set all this stuff up, we actually go through each individual amp one at a time. We tweak it, we dial it, move on to the next amp. Our front of house guy, Pab, has been with them for a really long time. He knows how it's supposed to sound, and he'll be up on the stage when we do this. It's a long, involved process, usually every day. We don't just throw in, turn stuff on, because like I said to you earlier, with Angus, there is no pedals to hide something that's not right. You can't, just turn up the distortion pedal, or turn the delay, more delay, or this. It's got to be right. He doesn't sound check. He comes in every night, and he gets his guitar on, and he goes, and it's got to be right, and that's the job.
I'm gonna give a shout out to my man Brett. Brett Petrusik took his son to his first rock concert up in Minneapolis, acdc. He said it was the greatest live sound that he heard for rock and roll tone, and he was curious, as we all are as Premier Guitar employees, how that front of house mixes these amp sounds because of what he does.
This one right here is number 2. This is a real one. This isn't a reissue. This is like a 72, I think, and it is the only live cabinet that's mic'd.
Okay.
That goes to front of house. Down below us is an ISO cab, big giant box with a 212 cabinet in it that is also another head powering that. That also goes to front of house.
I'm assuming the one here it says ISO.
Yeah, exactly. Good one.
College.
You could do this. and Pab mixes the blend and just gets it all dialed in. And I have 5 stacks in front of me here. Behind this curtain is 5 stacks, and in the arenas I have 2 stacks over there. Stevie has 2 cabinets over here as well. So it's, as he walks across, it's a solid wall. He doesn't lose any sound. And it's like, again, that's part of dialing in the stage every day. We make sure that it's a good walk and there's no holes in the stage, because he doesn't wear ears.
Yeah.
He's got to have that sound. So it's a lot more in depth. Like I said, it's the easiest guitar rig I've ever been associated with, probably, but it's also probably the hardest gig I've ever had.
Yeah.
Just because of the potential for things to go south really quickly, and also for a little thing to not be right is a big thing. There is no second chance. It's good.
And then the cabinets that you touched on, they're all loaded.
Oh yeah.
And
he uses greenbacks.
Okay.
He uses 25 watt Schlesinger greenbacks, and then you'll talk over for the Stevie. Oh yeah, it's all on. It will, as you swing by, it will blow your head right off as you're going by. It's great. It's the way that it should be.